I was 41 when I found out my daughter had been lying to me for over a year. Not a harmless teenager lie either. No, this one cut so deep that it made me question whether I even knew her at all. My daughter, Emily, is 17. I adopted her when she was just 6 weeks old. Her birth mother, Claire, was 19 at the time, and she made it very clear she wanted nothing to do with her baby. No letters, no pictures, no updates. She didn't even want to know Emily's name. She signed the papers and walked away, and I never heard from her again. I raised Emily on my own. No spouse, no partner, just me. I never lied to her about being adopted. I always told her the truth in an age-appropriate way, and as she got older, she asked more questions. I always answered. But one thing I was firm on: I didn't have any contact with Claire. That was her choice, not mine. When Emily turned 16, she asked if I would be okay with her doing one of those Ancestry DNA kits. I said sure. I didn't think much of it. Teenagers get curious. It's normal. But I didn't know then that this would be the beginning of everything falling apart. Fast forward about a year. Emily started acting different, distant, distracted, sneaky. I chalked it up to normal teenage stuff. She was applying to colleges, dealing with high school drama, and constantly glued to her phone. But there were moments, weird little things, that started nagging at me. One day, she left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. I wasn't snooping, but I saw a Zoom window open with the name Aunt Claire in the corner. My stomach dropped. I didn't even think, just froze. Claire. That name wasn't some coincidence. After seeing the Zoom name, I sat there staring at the screen like it had personally punched me in the gut. I wasn't supposed to know. I wasn't supposed to be part of whatever this was. Aunt Claire. That's how she saved her? Really? Like Claire was some quirky relative who sends Christmas socks and forgets birthdays. Not the woman who gave Emily away without so much as a second glance. My hands were shaking. I didn't want to snoop. I swear I didn't. But I clicked the tab. The chat was still open. And there they were. Messages. Lines and lines of back and forth between Emily and Claire. Some recent. Some from over a year ago. She'd been talking to her for more than 14 months behind my back. They'd started messaging after Emily did the DNA test. I guess Claire had uploaded her profile too. Maybe curiosity. Maybe guilt. I don't know. But they matched, and Emily reached out first. The first message was polite, cautious. She asked if Claire had ever given a child up for adoption. Claire replied a few days later with a simple, "Yes. I think it was you." I read every word. They didn't just message. They talked. They called. Zoomed. Shared pictures. Claire had even sent her gifts. Books. A necklace for her birthday. Clothes. And the worst part? Emily had visited her. Yeah. Claire lives 2 states away. She told me she was going on a college tour with a friend and her mom. I even helped her pack. But she never went to the college. She spent the weekend with Claire. I felt physically ill. I had to sit down. My daughter. The kid I raised. The one I bathed and fed and stayed up all night for when she was sick. She'd gone behind my back to see the woman who abandoned her, and then lied to my face like it was nothing. I didn't say anything that night. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But I knew if I came at her with anger, she'd shut down. So I waited. Waited until I could breathe without wanting to scream. The next morning, I told her we needed to talk. I tried to stay calm. But the second I mentioned Claire, her face changed. She didn't look scared. She looked angry, like I was the one who betrayed her. She accused me of hiding her birth mother from her, of trying to control the narrative. I was stunned. I reminded her that Claire was the one who wanted no contact, that I had done everything I could to keep the door open in case she changed her mind, that I never lied. Ever. But Emily didn't care. She said I never wanted her to know where she came from. Then she dropped the line that broke me. Claire understands me in ways you never will. That was it. That was the moment something snapped inside me. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just sat there while my heart shattered. Because I realized the lie wasn't just that she was talking to Claire. The real lie was that she didn't need me anymore. The days that followed felt like I was walking through fog. Everything was surreal. like I was watching my own life happen from the outside. Emily and I barely spoke. She avoided me every chance she got, disappearing into her room the second she came home, eating dinner quickly, and retreating behind her closed door. But I noticed the changes. She wasn't just distant. She was changing. New clothes, different music, inside jokes I didn't recognize. She started mentioning things like, Claire said this, or Claire thinks that, as if they were talking every day. Like Claire's opinion mattered more than mine. And then I realized something even worse. Claire wasn't just part of Emily's life now. She was replacing me in it. I found out Emily had started applying to colleges near Claire's city. Not a single one in state. Not one we'd toured together. Not even the dream school she used to talk about since sophomore year. All those plans we made, the spreadsheets, the late-night conversations about dorm life and financial aid, gone. Tossed aside. I confronted her about it one night, trying my best to stay composed. I asked why she hadn't told me. She just shrugged and said, I wanted a fresh start. A fresh start. Like her life with me was something to escape from. I asked her straight out if Claire had encouraged her to apply out there. She didn't deny it. In fact, she looked me right in the eye and said, Claire thinks it would be good for me to get space, to figure out who I am. That hit harder than anything else, because I knew what that meant. Claire wasn't just reconnecting with her daughter. She was claiming her. Suddenly, the gifts made sense. The necklace, the books, the weekend visit, the carefully placed words in every message. It was subtle, but I could see it clearly now. Claire was worming her way into Emily's heart, slowly rewriting history, not as the woman who abandoned her, but as the mother who came back. And I was being quietly pushed out. I couldn't sleep that night. I stayed up rereading all the old notes I'd saved, Emily's crayon drawings, birthday cards, her middle school essays about how much she loved her mom. Me. I raised this girl. I kissed every scraped knee, helped with every science fair, sat front row at every recital. I did it all, alone. While Claire was out living her life, not once asking about the daughter she left behind. And now she gets to swoop in, say a few warm words, and suddenly she's the better mom? It felt like my heart was being ripped out slowly, piece by piece. But the worst part? Emily didn't even see it happening. The shift wasn't just emotional, it was practical. Claire was in our lives now in ways I couldn't control, and that terrified me. Emily started calling her mom. Not birth mom, not Claire, just mom. The first time I overheard it was when she was on the phone in her room, door cracked just enough for me to hear her say, "Love you too, Mom." I froze in the hallway. I knew she didn't mean me. She hadn't said those words to me in weeks. I didn't know what to do with that. I wasn't sure whether to knock on her door and ask what the hell was going on, or just walk away before my knees gave out. I ended up doing neither. I stood there for what felt like an hour, completely numb, then went to bed and cried into my pillow like a teenager who just got dumped. And it only got worse. Claire started sending money. At first, it was small things. $20 for lunch, a gas card here and there. Then, I found out she'd bought Emily a new laptop, one better than the one I'd saved for months to buy her the year before. I found the receipt in the trash. Claire had it shipped directly to our house, right under my nose. When I asked Emily about it, she rolled her eyes and said, "It's not a big deal." She wanted to help. But it was a big deal. This wasn't help. It was positioning. It was Claire showing Emily that she could provide more, do more, be more than I ever could. And whether she realized it or not, Emily was eating it up. One day I walked into Emily's room while she was out and saw a photo on her desk I hadn't seen before. It was a picture of her and Claire, taken during that college trip I now knew was a lie. They looked happy, like they'd known each other forever, like they hadn't lost 17 years between them. I just stood there, staring at it, in my own home, in the room I'd painted when she was a baby, with the old rocking chair still in the corner. I remembered holding her there during long nights, when she couldn't sleep, when she cried for no reason, when I was her entire world. Now, she had a new one that didn't include me. And I felt myself unraveling. This wasn't just about a mother and daughter reconnecting. This was a replacement. A slow, quiet erasure. and I was powerless to stop it. Emily's 18th birthday was approaching, and I wanted to do something special. One last big celebration before she left for college. I'd been quietly preparing for months. Her favorite restaurant, a surprise video montage from her friends and teachers. Even a scrapbook I'd spent weeks putting together, filled with photos from every year of her life. First steps, first day of school, braces, prom dress fittings. Our memories? I thought maybe, just maybe, it could be a way to remind her that this life we built together meant something. That she didn't need to look for love somewhere else because she already had it. But 3 days before the party, she told me she wasn't going to be home that weekend. Claire had planned a trip, a girls' getaway to the coast. Spa day, hotel suite, fancy dinner reservations. Emily didn't even look at me when she said it, just scrolled on her phone and added, "We already booked it, so I hope that's okay." It wasn't okay, not even a little, but I didn't say that. I just nodded and said, I understood. Then I went to my room and sat on the edge of the bed for hours, staring at the wall like someone had unplugged me from reality. I canceled everything. I told the restaurant there'd been a change of plans. I emailed her friends and thanked them for contributing to the video, but said we wouldn't be needing it anymore. I closed the scrapbook and tucked it into the back of my closet, like a secret too painful to keep out in the open. On the day of her birthday, I didn't hear from her until 3 p.m. She sent me a photo of her and Claire at some fancy seafood place, holding drinks and smiling like they were two halves of the same soul. The caption said, "Best birthday ever." I stared at it for a long time. No, thank you. No, love you. Just that. I should have deleted the message. I should have thrown my phone across the room. But instead I sat there and whispered happy birthday to the empty kitchen around me, like a ghost still haunting the life I built. That night, I made myself dinner and ate alone. The silence in the house was unbearable. I kept thinking about her laugh echoing through these rooms just months ago. The music she blasted while getting ready for school. The late-night talks in pajamas with tea and half-eaten cookies. Now the house was still. And I realized something I wasn't ready to admit until then. She wasn't just spending the weekend with Claire. She was starting her life with her. And leaving me behind. 2 weeks after Emily's birthday, I got a letter in the mail. Not an email. Not a text. A real physical letter, in a pale pink envelope with neat, careful handwriting. I almost didn't open it. My gut already knew who it was from. It was from Claire. She wrote that she wanted to clear the air, that she never meant to cause division between me and Emily. She thanked me, actually thanked me, for stepping in when she couldn't. As if I was some substitute teacher who took over a class until the real one returned from vacation. But then she got to the part that made my hands tremble. She wrote, "I didn't abandon Emily. I made the hardest choice a young girl could make. I wanted her to have a better life than I could give her. I always hoped one day I'd get the chance to explain that to her in person." I sat there stunned. Not because I didn't believe that young Claire had been scared, overwhelmed, maybe even doing what she thought was best. I did believe that. What gutted me was how she presented the story to Emily now. As if she'd made a noble sacrifice. As if she'd always carried this deep love for her daughter. As if she'd never disappeared without asking a single question about where Emily would go, or who would raise her, or what kind of person she'd become. I never once heard from Claire in all these years. Not a letter. Not a birthday card. Nothing. But now, with Emily grown and nearly out the door, she'd reappeared, ready to step into the spotlight and reclaim a title she forfeited. Mother. She didn't ask me how I felt. She didn't apologize for blindsiding me, or for building a relationship with my daughter behind my back. She didn't acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, I had something to grieve here too. She wrote like I was in the way, a relic of the past, an inconvenient detail. She ended the letter by saying she hoped, in time, we could all be a part of Emily's next chapter together. She even used the word co-parenting. Emily turns 18 next month. Claire seems to have forgotten that I was already there for all the chapters that mattered most. The scraped knees, the math homework, the nights she cried herself to sleep because some kid at school was cruel. I was there. I'm still here. But somehow, Claire believes this is the beginning. Like the rest of us, we're just placeholders. I folded the letter, tucked it back into the envelope, and placed it in the drawer next to the unopened scrapbook. I didn't reply. Because if I had, I'm not sure I would have been able to keep the pen from cutting into the page. The letter haunted me for days. I didn't show it to Emily. I didn't bring it up. I told myself I was protecting her. But the truth is, I was afraid of what she'd say. Afraid she'd read it and agree with Claire. That she'd look at those words and see truth, not manipulation. But deep down, I knew it didn't matter. Emily had already made her choice. It became official on a quiet Sunday morning. She walked into the kitchen holding her phone, nervously twisting her bracelet, one I'd bought her for her 13th birthday. She said she had something to tell me, and her voice already sounded like a goodbye. She'd been accepted to a university 5 minutes from Claire's apartment. I already knew, of course. I'd seen the emails when I checked our shared account. But hearing her say it out loud hit differently. She said she'd already accepted the offer. She was moving in July. Claire had a spare room. They'd already talked about furniture and colors. And the kicker? She wasn't planning to come back for the holidays. Too far to travel, she said. I didn't cry. I just listened. I asked if she'd thought about deferring a year. She shook her head. I asked if she still planned to visit during summer. She shrugged. Then she said, Claire needs me right now. She's alone too. And that's when I understood the final piece. Emily had found something in Claire I could never give her. A sense of origin. A link to who she used to be. Before me. And now she wanted to understand that part of herself, even if it meant walking away from everything I had poured into her. I think part of her genuinely believes she's doing the right thing. That she's just exploring her identity. That it's temporary. But I could already see it in her eyes. She wasn't planning to come back. Not really. And what was I supposed to do? Beg her to stay? Guilt her into loving me more? I told her I was proud of her. That I hoped she'd be happy. That I'd always be here, no matter what. She hugged me. It was quick, awkward, and distant. Like she didn't know where to put her arms. Like hugging a teacher at graduation. I stood in the kitchen after she left, surrounded by the smell of her favorite cereal and the sound of her old playlist playing quietly from her phone. And I realized this was what the beginning of an ending felt like. The morning Emily left for Claire's, she didn't wake me. I heard her quietly moving through the house around 6 a.m. Zippers, footsteps, one last creak of the hallway floor. She used to run down in her mismatched socks. I stayed in bed with the covers pulled up to my chin, pretending to sleep, even though I'd barely closed my eyes all night. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't leave a note. Just left. I waited until I heard the front door close. I don't know why I expected her to pause, to peek into my room, to whisper something. I love you. I'll call you later. Anything. But there was nothing. Just silence. And when I finally walked into the living room, it hit me like a wave. Her room was empty. The bookshelf, the mirror, even the old hoodie she always left slung over the couch. Gone. All of it. She didn't take the scrapbook. She didn't even look at it. It's still tucked away in the closet, right where I left it. For a while, I just stood there. No tears, no anger. Just this hollow kind of ache, like something inside me had gone missing, and I wasn't sure if I'd ever get it back. I texted her. Just said, let me know when you get there. She replied 3 hours later. Made it safe. Thanks. That was it. No hearts, no emojis, no love you. Since then, it's been 3 weeks. She's posted pictures, coffee dates with Claire, decorating her new room, smiling in ways I haven't seen in months. She looks happy, and I hate how much that breaks me. I haven't told anyone the full story. Not my coworkers, not my friends, not even my sister. Because how do you explain that your daughter, your whole life, left for the woman who walked away from her at birth? How do you admit that the child you raised with every ounce of love in your body chose someone else? I keep telling myself this isn't permanent, that she's young, emotional, searching, that one day she'll remember the late nights, the lunchbox notes, the way I held her after nightmares, that maybe someday she'll look back and realize I wasn't perfect, but I was there. I don't know if that day will come. I don't know if she'll ever need me again, but I've made peace with something I never thought I'd have to accept. Sometimes, Being a mother means standing in the background while your child runs toward the very person who hurt you most. And loving them anyway, even when they don't look back.